What's up, homies? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Red_Ghost, and at long last, it is time for the Genshin Impact tier list. I've been waiting to do this for a long time. I've completed every single Archon quest, World quest, Story quest, Hangout, everything I have completed in the story, so I have enough for my subjective opinions. And I know opinions are the scariest thing on the internet, but we all got them. It is what it is. So this is how the scoring is going to go. There will be story, which will be out of 8 points, design out of 4, and the least weighted category will be gameplay at out of 3 points. I'll assign every character a score value in those 3 categories, and that value will contribute to their placement. Now, you will notice there are some discrepancies as we'll continue on. Some characters in lower tiers will have higher scores than characters at higher tiers, but I'll explain when we get there. Alright, so your eyes did not deceive you. What you see on screen right now is the Dog Water tier. It is graced by 4 characters only. From the bottom up, we will be starting with Razor, Goro, Ganyu, and at the very top of Dog Water, but still Dog Water, is Wanderer. And just to, I'm not going to explain too much. Razor, he's dog boy gone wrong. Don't really care for Razor. Goro is dog, man. He's just kind of boring. He's there. It is what it is. The top 2, though, most disappointing. I've explained this. If you watch my Genshin Impact bingo, you'll know that a better Ganyu story was one of my bingo cards. I'm hoping for that when her next story quest comes out. But Ganyu's just a bit of a disappointment. Although, if you can see her score right there in design, that is 4 out of 4. One of my top 10 designs in the game for sure. I love her design. It is amazing. And Wanderer, oh my god. I hate Wanderer. I will always hate Wanderer. If you watch, again, in the Genshin Impact bingo video, I said how I want... Okay, we're not going to be able to kill Wanderer this pretty much, but I do want Wanderer to die in the story. He's only here because his story, at least, it's better than Ganyu's on the whole. So there is that, and he's Nahida's son. I'm going to respect Nahida as a mommy, so is what it is. Oh, also, in case you're wondering why I've named my Wanderer Angel, it is not because I believe he is an angel, it is because I hate Angel from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and the titular show Angel. If that sounded rehearsed, it's because I say it just that often. A lot of people have asked me. Alright, and moving swiftly along to the D tier. Here we are at the bottom, and this, as you can tell, we have Child. Child has a 2 out of 8 in the story, a 0 out of 4 in design. The gameplay, NA, not applicable. I do not have Child. I will never pull for Child. I don't care about Child. Hence why he's all the way at the bottom of the D tier. And also, just a real quick disclaimer to explain the D tier. These are not the worst characters. These are just characters that I don't generally vibe with and or don't like. I don't hate them like Dog Water. It's just they're there and it is what it is. Child's probably, he just narrowly makes it out of Dog Water because of his brother Tusser, but is what it is. Next up we have Rosaria. 1s across the board, 1 out of 8 story, 1 out of 4 design, 1 out of 3 gameplay. Rosaria was cool when I first started the game, but then I got Chong Yun, and then she went Diana. Very inoffensive character, very meager part of the story, so she doesn't warrant Dog Water like someone like Razor or Goro, because she doesn't show up too often. Every once in a while when you go to the Cat's Tail for whatever event happens to be there, like we did with the TCG event. Okay, I definitely... these next 2 characters in D tier just narrowly avoided Dog Water as well. Only difference is I get to ignore them. Just like Diana, they're just sort of whenever you go back to Mondstadt, and even then they it depends on the event too, because in Windbloom I don't really think you interacted with Jean all that much. It was mostly Sucrose, Amber, Eula, Kale, some Albedo, Tainari, Sino, couldn't remember his name for a second. But Lisa and Barbara are both here. Yeah, nothing, I don't really have to explain it. I just know they're here. Moving right along to C tier, and this is probably the most congested tier that I have so far. There are going to be a lot of characters in this one. This is definitely where I'm going to piss off quite a few people, but it is what it is. But since C tier is just a little bit congested, I'm just going to rapid fire a few of these until I get to one that's worth mentioning why they're in C tier. But we have, starting from the bottom up, we got Sayu, we got Paimon, we got Dory, we have Shinyan, we have Barbara, we have Mika, we have Bennett, Chi Chi, Toma, and at the first one I'm going to stop at here is Kaya. Kaya was saved from the Dogwater tier because I happen to read the Genshin Impact manga that stars Kale and Amber. It is the only time I've seen Kaya actually do any kind of work where he's not entirely aloof and playing around and this, that, and the third and being annoying. I don't like those kinds of characters. But when I read the manga, he's sleuthing, he's doing his job, he's treating threats appropriately, all while still being Kaya, and that's perfectly fine. So it was cool to get to see that him and Diluc doing their thing, and we will get to Diluc. But that bumped up Kaya quite a bit. He has a 3 out of 8 in story. His design's 2 out of 4. I don't really much like his clothing and too much going on, but it is what it is. And as far as gameplay, again, early cryo characters, Rosaria, Kaya, they just couldn't catch it. They couldn't match Chong Yun when I first started in the game. Also down here in C tier, heavily saved by her design is Kokomi. Kokomi, one of my top 10, one of my top 5 designs in the game, actually. I love Kokomi's design. It is fantastic. It is a shame that her story is not too impressive. Inazuma, realistically, my least favorite Archon quest on the whole in the entire game thus far. In big part due to Kokomi and her nonsensical role or whatever. Her individual story quest where we learn when her and Sar doing their negotiations, I thought that was pretty slick how they did that. That was a definite improvement, something I wish we could get for Ganyu. But another thing saving her, even though it's the lowest weighted grade, is the fact she is a fantastic healer. I am obsessed with healers in this game. Yao Yao is one of my favorite characters to play as for that reason. Kuki Shinobu. We just ignore that Gene's in the D tier. Anyway, moving on. Up next, we have the 3 elemental daddy characters. We have Ayato, Alhaitham, and Diluc. Like, all 3 of these characters in my mind are fairly interchangeable. Ayato being the most warm and inviting of the 3. But even then, he just sort of falls into that daddy category. They're all here. You see their scores on screen. Diluc, again, also saved from Dogwater thanks to the manga. More so than Gaia, because I understand why he does not join the Knights of Favonius explicitly. That is a very good story detail that I appreciate. The fact he used to use a delusion. I didn't even know that for the longest time till I read the manga, which is pretty neat. And the thing with his dad and Dotori and this, that, and the third, all that was impressive. Unfortunately, that's all pre-game stuff. What I've seen of him in the game does not really translate too well, so he's going to stay here with them. But speaking of daddies, next up we have Hazel. Pretty average scores in the bottom 2 tiers, 3 out of 4, 3 out of 3. Story, 2 out of 8. Not too impressed with Hazel, but inoffensively. And rounding up C tier will be none other than Albedo. Albedo, probably the king of inoffensive characters. He's just sort of there half the time I see him. And again, that's part, I don't know too much about him personally, because they won't add replayable events to Genshin Impact like they did for Honkai Star Rail. I don't get it. But Albedo, from what I know, his connection to Alice in the Hexen Circle, the L's, the stuff with Klee, all that's pretty neat. If I could experience that on my own, his story score would probably shoot up from 4 out of 8 to probably 6 or 7. But experience does play a part with how you see a character. Every single character from here on out I like. There is no they were ever in dog water. There is no something happened that grows them up. Well, I mean, there is that. For the most part, these characters I like from the instant I saw them. And there's just that. on out, the scores don't really matter as much as you will come to see. For B tier, I like those characters. A tier, I really like those characters a lot, bordering on love. But that's what separates B from A is there's just something a little bit extra outside of the three categories that attracts me to these characters, and I'll explain that for each and every one. But her story has me more intrigued than Aether's because she's already gone through what Aether's going through presently, and she did that with Dainsleif as her guide, not Paimon. And boy, did she get the good end of the deal there. She is a winged character, actually. I love characters with wings. Crows are my favorite animal, if you couldn't tell. And she has black wings when she pops her ult, pretty cool. Brings a smile to my face every time I hear her voice. I see her face. She's just funny all around. Can't get enough of her. He helps out everybody no matter what. It's just what he does. He could care less about profiting himself. He's a good dude. I love his gameplay, and god damn, and she's carried by her gameplay, her story, not really existent. She's just an adorable little helper to Madam Ping, fellow disciple with Yanfei. It is what it is. Can we get Madam Ping to be playable? Leave a like if you want Madam Ping to be playable, along with Cloud Retainer. His intro was one of my favorites when he fights out Hatham, and I could tell he was holding back when he was duking it out with him. And then that was before I even knew about his whole like Anubis thing that he could do. That's actually pretty cool. These are the chiefs of the Arataki support group. I love both of them. So far, one of the only 5 stars without a story quest. Don't know why they gave one to Ganyu. Where's Kaching's story quest, damn it? She has one of the best intros too, alongside Sino's, when she shows up and just sort of smacks down that Fatui sniper real fast. Like, that's pretty slick. I've played with her in a couple trials whenever I could. I enjoy the gameplay. I can't wait to have her team. I already got Mika C6. So he's ready and waiting for her to drop whenever she does drop. Her second story quest carries her so hard, let me tell you. The character development, the progression of the story as a whole, learn about what happened with Makoto's influence on the current events is pretty incredible. Her design, A1. I love the outfit. Again, braided characters, love braided characters. Her gameplay, 3 out of 3. I'm much looking forward to her third part. Can't wait to see what happens with all of that. But what I like about Layla is the fact she has an alternate or an other when she falls asleep. It's a pretty unique detail for a character, and they actually play up that detail a lot in her story quest, which is something I enjoyed. It made her hangout, which is something I wish they do more, make it more unique per every character. It's not just like you're doing decisions, but every decision you make with Layla brings her closer and closer to the other popping out, and you can control that to get to the alternate endings, which I enjoy. I love her vibe. Ito may be the funniest character in the game, but I vibe with Hu Tao's sense of humor, or rather, she's not being entirely humorless when she says some of these things, quote unquote, what she says to Kirara on screen right now. But it tickles my fancy anyway, and I adore her for it. Oh, one extra thing actually that just happened in the TCG event. There were some sparks flying between her and Kazuha. I kind of like that. I'm kind of shipping the two of them together. I'm not gonna lie to you. The only one I ship with Aether, besides Ayaka, and those two are duking it out in my head. Oh my lord, let me tell you. But when this story popped off and we learned about him and Brother Bosacius and all that good stuff, oh my god, did he skyrocket. The heater came through. Let me just tell y'all, that was fantastic. I love that cutscene. Yoimiya absolutely loved it. It was great. I love that whole story. Just exemplifies why Yoimiya is such a charming and bright presence for children. I knew from the get-go she'd be able to see the R&R no problem. And I'm so glad that that was the case. That story was amazing. Can't wait for more part 2s to come. Looking back at how vicious Kali was versus how bubbly she is now, it's like looking at 2 different characters. And I can just instantly see the growth she's had with Tainari and Sino, how they sort of molded her away from that darkness, even though Amber was the original catalyst for that. You get the sense of where she is, some of the voice lines she has in the game. reflect that darkness she went through, and she's still such a shining personality. I love it. Kali gets high marks for that. Her design's pretty cool. Her gameplay is awesome. One of the bow characters I actually really enjoy. I don't love a lot of love stories, but the story between Ayaka and the Traveler, I enjoy it to bits. The thing we have with the samurai competition, the dance in the water, the wet socks, all of that. And I know people like to meme on her for her big forehead, but listen, I grew up watching Code Lyoko. It ain't nothing but a thing for me. But her gameplay is incredible. She has like arguably my favorite design in the game. Her and another and a top five character of mine sort of go back and forth on that. They be duking it out. And then her character demo, one of my favorite character demos too, by the way. She stepped on that one dude for free. For free, you gotta charge for that, Yolan. What are you doing? Her role as an astrologist in the game is worldwide renowned, even all the way in Fontaine. Like her and Fischl, I couldn't even believe how well of a pairing those two make as friends, but it absolutely works. When even though I haven't played through it myself, I've watched all the cutscenes of their Golden Apple Archipelago story and how they first met when they introduced Angel way back when. And their dynamic is just super fun. I enjoy it. Can't wait to get more of those two together and separately to let them interact with other characters as well. All right, so here I want to play a game with you all. I'm gonna put all of the four double S characters on screen right now. Before I reveal their scores and explain why they're scored the way they are and why they're in double S specifically, I want you to guess which of them is actually at the very top. We have Amber, we have Kazuo, we have Shinha, and we have Ningguang. Everything we've got with her with Kale and Eula and all that good stuff, how much of a bright light that she is. How and Amber, I think for her to meet her first in the story over Kaya, Jean, Lisa, all of the other Mondstadt people was perfect. She has eternal best friend energy. If Amber were in real life, I would be best friends with her, no doubt. Her design could be better. I'm waiting on them to actually give her a skin like all the other Mondstadters. His story quest pretty cool. I think it could definitely be better. And again, I ship him with Hu Tao now, so that's also pretty cool. Just another little thing to add to the flavor of Kazuha. As for story, hers is incredible. Meeting her during Lantern Rite, the stuff with Cloud Retainer, being her teacher, how she was abandoned as a child, the play with Yunjin, and of course, her literally soloing that tidal wave from Osial's wife, Baish is their name. Like, that cutscene by itself is incredible. I love Shinha, one of my absolute favorite characters. I was so glad I got her and Ayaka together. Oh my god, greatness. What truly separates Ningguang from the rest is not actually her story, but what she represents in the story. When I was first playing through Liyue, I was just sort of trying to spam to get through all so I could get to the TCG, which is the main reason I downloaded Genshin. But then when Liyue starts picking up near the end, I'm skipping dialogue a little bit less. I mean, I was paying attention, but I kind of wasn't at the same time. I was speed reading while clicking A. I got gist of it. But once we beat Child and it's ramping up and you get to the Jade Chamber and this, that, and the third, and Ningguang just sort of like pulls out all those like Geo turrets. I'm like, god damn. And you see them fighting Osial with the whole fleet. I'm just like, this is a mobile game? This is a free game? Like, that whole cutscene showed me the whole heights where this game was gonna go. And Ningguang was the face of that height. And we did it again in Lantern Rite when we fought Baish too. And Ningguang did it on Human Power alone. I mean, Shinha was there too, but I mean, come on. It was a joint moment shared by the two of them. Ganyu didn't do a damn thing. We are at the top 5, and I want to play another game again with you all to see who can guess will be the top out of all these. You can probably guess just off how I've talked about some of the characters. But here are the top 5 on screen. We have Yai Miko, Zhongli, Nahida, Fischl, and Dia. And the way I like sort of like gaslighting people a little bit, she has that in space. She's smarter about it though. And oh my god, I enjoy anytime she's on screen. Um, especially with this last TCG event, she was throwing shots at Goro, Kokomi, but to Kokomi's credit, she was throwing some shots back, and I was impressed. But Yai Mika, absolute favorite Inazuma character, the only other one besides Kujo Sara that I enjoyed for the most part. Zhongli has a phenomenal story. I loved all the stuff with Ajdaha, all the stuff I think with the Lord of Salt. All that's pretty cool. Zhongli, actually, I'm putting a picture of it on screen right now. But when I was first playing through Leeway before I was actually recording it for YouTube, I was texting my homie Strike, and I was like, "Yo, this Zhongli character kind of clean. When he gonna become the next Archon?" Because we were with him for literally most of the Archon quests, and I got to know him, and I'm just like, "This guy's kind of clean." And they're gonna be needing a new Archon after this, right? That was before I got to the end of it, of course, and learned the truth of everything. But Zhongli is that guy. He is him. Even though she was reportedly terrible by leaks and this that ahead of her release, that did not matter to me. Everything they did with her story up until release, and I didn't play Sumeru till after I pulled Dia actually. Um, I didn't know much about her too well, but what they showed in like character demos and trailers and all that made me think Dia is actually an incredible character. And then we got her story quest. Oh my god, one of the best non-Archon story quests, if not the best. I have to go back and actually think that through. But she's definitely top 5 non-Archon story quests we have in the game. And I'm so glad I pulled for Dia. She is actually a little bit of history for you. Pulling for Dia was my first Genshin Impact video on the channel, and I don't regret it. I love Dia still. She is going to be one of my favorite characters till the end of time. Her gameplay, enough said. Hyper Bloom carries everybody, and she carries Hyper Bloom. It is what it is. But her story, goddamn, from the birthday teaser we got, her character demo, what we got in the actual Archon quest, her literally Tsukuyomiing Wander into his defeat, adopting Angel. Sorry, I meant to call him by his actual name. But Nahida so far has given us the most amount of information. I appreciate that. I appreciate Nahida for everything she is. But last but greatest is Fischl with perfect scores across the board. She summons a raven that shoots electricity at people. Like, come on. Electricity is my favorite superpower. Crow's my favorite animal. Fischl's awesome as a character. Her design, top notch. Her alternate skin, top notch. Her story quest, she doesn't have a hangout, but Golden Apple Archipelago and the thing with Mona before the Sleepy Meteorite mystery. Fischl's bad Shakespearean cosplay acting. I adore that. It is so adorable. It's so cute. Like, Fischl will forever and always be my favorite character in Genshin Impact. I do not see anyone coming close to dethroning her. Like, she's just too perfect concept wise, character wise. Fischl reigns supreme. She will reign supreme. They would have to make another Fischl to compete with her, and at that point it'd just be self plagiarism, and she would not make it high on this list. But anyway, that is where I'm going to be ending the Genshin tier list. Everybody has been officially ranked. You know who my top 10 characters are. You should know who my top 10 favorite design characters are. If you don't, you can always ask me in the comments below. I'll be glad to tell you. But again, thank you all for tuning in to the Genshin Impact tier list. This was a long time coming. I'm glad I finally made it. Later, homies.